Welcome to Deal Nation. On the show today, we're joined by Frank Chen, the owner of the affiliateincubator.com. Frank, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Michael.
Oh, my pleasure. I've been looking forward to recording this episode. For people that don't know the affiliateincubator.com or you, Frank is one of the most well-connected people in the REI space. He's a super connector. He's someone who I go to when I need to link up with someone that I might not have a relationship with. But, Frank, one of the things that was interesting for me going into this is, I've always known you as somebody who knows everybody. I've known you as somebody who's been, really integral in the REI space, but I don't really know that much about your backstory, so I'm excited to, spend the first couple minutes just
Sure.
letting people get to know you a little bit and how you gravitated towards REI. And then from there, we'll do a real deep dive on the affiliate stuff.
I love that. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I love to share that kind of part of my life just because, we're all on this journey of entrepreneurship at some level. We all at some point had to consider an 8-to-5 job or trying to get out of that job. Thankfully for me, I got my start in this business about 16 years ago. And it really started with my parents becoming real estate investors, running their own business. They were in Section 8 housing, and I really participated at that all through junior high and high school. I was fixing up sinks and going to homes without air conditioning in the Texas heat. So I got humbled very early on about how hard the nitty-gritty side of REI was. And had zero clue on the info or internet side of things. So I went to college, got a degree, and people were like, oh, was it in business or marketing? Nope, it was in nutrition. I graduated from the University of Texas. Came out, realized, man, I am not going to make a lot of money, and I'm going to be working really long hours, and got to get my master's degree and PhD. And honestly, I was not a great student by any means. I tell people all in the 6-year program at the University of Texas. I just took my time, and when I got out, I did what most people did: is look for jobs not within my realm of expertise. So, found a job on Craig's. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Let me jump in real quick because I'm curious about this because I spent a lot of time doing projects and things with my parents growing up. Did you recognize that at an early age as entrepreneurship, or was it just like the stuff mom and dad were making you do?
Exactly. I always have this conversation with my mom about this, like years later, the adult conversations. Like as parents, you always try to instill these values way early on. And it's always like 10 or 20 years later where we wake up one morning like, oh yeah, that thing that they said, now it makes sense. So I'm grateful now that I have my own home, my own family. I can fix my own water heaters. I can fix pretty much anything in my home when I have peers who are literally just calling people to fix the most basic things. So I'm very grateful for those life lessons now, 20 years later. So all the parents out there, give it time, be patient with it.
Yeah, give it 15 years. It'll all come around.
It just takes 15 years and then you'll be right. And then you'll be right. But that's really where I got, really my foundation of hard work. I think seeing that and living that through that example was really, really valuable. I instill a lot of those values today in my own business. But found this job on Craigslist. Knew nothing about this industry. I know we're going to talk about that later. Like, what is it like to get into the info side if you've been in real estate for, 10, 20 years of your life? And it took me a good couple of years to really understand how people made money. I remember it was like the first thing I did was like this product launch. People were selling this course online. They did $2 million in 2 months. And I was like, holy moly. It was all done online and people just didn't even talk to a single person. And I was like, this is crazy. Fast forward 16 years, I've worked with some of the top real estate education companies where I tell people the hidden value of what I did is I got access to all the stuff out there that people are selling and you get demos on. I got free access to all that stuff being in the position that I was in because I had to vet all these products and things like that. But this was really just an eye-opening world that I'm excited to kind of talk to y'all about. Affiliates is a part of this component, but there are so many people out there who really are trying to find that next thing, and real estate tends to be at the top of the list. So I'm excited to kind of share what I know. It's been an incredible journey.
Yeah, I would like to saying like you and I have a little bit of similarity in that is I came in from the sales and marketing side through launch control. And we've been to some networking events, and I think you and I may even have had this conversation where I'm looking around the room and I'm surrounded by multimillionaires in the real estate investment space, like
Right.
the top 1% of the industry, and just thinking, man, this is a golden ticket. I'm so lucky to be able to network in this room, because they're like, every one of the tens of thousands of people in Facebook groups would kill for this opportunity, and so you and I have had really unfettered access to the top 1%, and that's a we should consider ourselves lucky. Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the things I always do, like just being in public, or we get retargeted with ads. We're all in this world of
Yeah,
marketing, one way
sure.
or another, either as the person receiving the marketing or putting out the marketing. There's still a level of celebrity out there, right? You got the Pace Morbys
Hmm.
out there, the Thatch Wins, the King Kongs, and you see their ads, you see their Instagrams, and then we're at these events and they're standing there and they're just like normal people. And I think,
Yeah.
it's really lucky to be a part of a thing that's normalized, this industry uh, at a very tangible level. So if you're watching this, these are just normal people doing the biz. You guys have the same opportunity to get there too. So yeah.
No, I love that. So let's kind of use that as a framework, because I would
Sure.
love to kind of reverse engineer the affiliate process,
Yeah.
and where you can get to, because you mentioned Pace Morby, and maybe, like, I don't know, 8 years ago or something, there was one celebrity. It was Robert Kiyosaki wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was the only person that had celebrity status. And then, since then, you've gotten more and more and more, to the point that one of the big challenges for people coming in now is how to weed out who is a legitimate 1%er, and who's in a rented suit leaning on a rented Ferrari pretending to be a 1%er. And so, you is actually working with that 1%. I'd love to start at the top and be like,
Yeah.
what is a 6, even 7 figure affiliate program look like, and who's the owner operator there? And then we'll just drill all the way down to somebody who is, for instance, signed up for a launch control light subscription.
Sure.
They're hoping to get to a place of a consistent 1 to 2 deals per month, but they've got a few misses here and there. How can they take advantage of an affiliate program? But let's start up at the 7 figure top and see what that looks like, because I do think there's a certain amount of people listening that are going to go, that's too much for you. There's no one's making 7 figures doing just affiliate stuff. No way. Right. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
burst of that bubble for them.
Absolutely, and it's my job, and it's my hope today to really break some misconceptions about affiliate marketing and how the industry has really dramatically changed even in just the last 3 to 4 years. So we'll dive into that. So yeah, starting at the top, there's two ways to look at any type of affiliate program, right? The person who has launched it, they have the product and services. A brand that's doing 7 figures in most cases has a high level of management built in, right? When you think about affiliate programs, you're like, oh, a Kajabi or some type of ClickFunnels affiliate program. A lot of times these programs, all they do is take a product, develop a link, and it puts tracking in place, right? And a lot of the companies that are doing at the lowest end of affiliates are usually giving out affiliate links without any support. And when I tell people that, is that there's a big misconception that you think just because you launch an affiliate program, everybody coming in the door is a marketer. They're a master marketer. They're going to know how to post links. They're going to know how to launch a blog, an article, and become a massive influencer. And as you know, these are very hard channels to dominate, right? So it requires a high level of management, training, support to really hit that 7 figure number. That's the number one, I would say, secret sauce to getting super successful with an affiliate program. Now, if you're kind of just launching it passively, it's icing on the cake for you because you're actively doing the business. You're kind of have some affiliate relationships where you're kind of making some passive income, maybe like a brand like Launch Control. Then yeah, you can hit 6 figures. Like it's 100K a year. That's not much. It's less than 10K a month. Just consistency can get you that 6 figure number, right? So
Mhm.
high touch, high training gets you to 7 figures. Consistency gets you to 6 figures. Okay, that's the. And of course, if you're wanting to be the 4 to 5 figure person, that's just you kind of just really passively throwing out a link here and there, talking about it here and there at your meetups, your masterminds, things like that. But that's kind of the hierarchy of how to like elevate your brand to start making some of this, these 7 figure numbers. Like these big influencers, some of the names we mentioned earlier, they're the affiliates. They're not even the product owners, and they're making 7 figures through affiliate partnerships, right? They have huge influence, right? But imagine, just making passively 6 to 7 figures every month, just sharing other people's things. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting because what you're describing at the top, and I think it's something that doesn't get considered often, is your side hustle. If this is your side hustle, it needs to have the same structure as any business. It's basically a bubble business to the side of your larger business. So I know that the things that you focus on are strategy, people, processes, right? And that describes a highly functioning business, right?
Well
So
put.
if, yeah, so if you think of it as a business in miniature, you're going to, or miniature that can scale up to max size, you're gonna get further ahead a lot faster, right?
You mentioned something so interesting here, right? And I constantly have this conversation on my discovery calls with people who've been in the business for over 10 years, and there's still a disconnect there, right? Which is, look how much time and energy you spend on training your cold calling team, or the person who is your setter or your closers in your business, assuming this is a real estate business, right? Or any department in your business. You train an admin, your executive assistant, you need SOPs or standing operating procedures. You put all of this attention in these areas. An affiliate program is no different. You hit the nail on the head, Michael. But what's weird is that people don't treat it that way. They think it's one of those self-sufficient, self-growing, self-scaling brands. As soon as I create an affiliate link, it's just going to blow up magically. And it's like everybody's going to come and want to promote it because we're a great product and all these things. And frankly, that's one of the misconceptions. It's just not true. So
it's just the affiliate field of dreams, right? Like
yeah,
if you build it, they will come.
exactly. Just minus the guardian angels actually helping you through the process. So minus those people. Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about that disconnect is that any business owner that has really put really solid systems in place and really solid people in
Yes.
place knows how much time and stress and energy that saves them, right? It's an upfront mental exercise to make sure that you can get all those things into place. But once they're in place, that's when income actually becomes passive, right? Because you've got automations or individuals doing the things so that you don't have to do the things. And if like apply that to affiliates.
And that's exactly it. And kind of like oversimplify what affiliate is there's a lot of logistics that go into it, right? And really, as a company, what we do is we help distill that down. Anybody trying to get into info or start a course or start a coaching program. And I just had a discovery call yesterday with someone he makes well into 6 figures every month in his local market and doing real estate. And he's like, dude, now I want to share this information with people. He's had so many conversations with marketing agencies, brands that help do websites, launch products, webinars, all of these things. And he's like, dude, I feel like I'm getting torn 1,000 different ways. I just don't know where to begin. So that's what we spend
Yeah.
our time on our call doing, is kind of like, hey, these are just the handful of things you need to focus on right now. Let's get the first dollar in the door. Don't worry about all these fancy websites, funnels, sales teams, all of these things yet, because you already have influence, whether it's 5 people in your network or 100 people or 100,000. And we'll dive into that a little bit later, Mike. I know you wanted to talk about that, but yeah, it's people. Let's call it misconception number 2, that you need massive influence to make some type of impact or get involved with affiliates. And that's honestly just not true.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see, I think would be a really interesting chart is you bring up somebody like Pace Morby or Brent Daniels or somebody who has like massive influence in the industry, right? To go back and see the chart where you go back 5 years ago and see like what was their social media following, what were their e-product sales, what were
There you
their,
go.
you know what I mean? And then see that upward sort of trajectory. And because there is with the right systems and processes, I think you'll agree that actually is when the word of mouth really starts kicking in and doing its job. When you have ambassadors for your brand that are
Right.
out there saying nice things, and you start to see that exponential growth even beyond maybe what you've put into your marketing and what you've put into your processes, because quality is speaking to the industry.
That's exactly right. And you're hinting at something really interesting here. And people are like, well, how do I get involved as an affiliate, right? How do I begin? So let's talk, we'll break this out in 2 parts. And the first one is how do you become an affiliate? Well, you just find products and brands. And this is the key here. and we're noticing this more and more, is you must use the product. Okay. If you like it and you want to talk about it, there's some value there. But in order to convert your influence into dollars, you need to build that trust, right? And people only trust people who use the product they're recommending. And I know that's kind of a silly thing. Oh, of course that's what it is. But we kind of are evolving out. And this is what I mean. The big changes 3 years ago, even 10 years ago, we had people just selling products they didn't even use themselves. And they're like, hey, this is the best thing since sliced bread. You should go it because I trust this person. And they probably just met a few weeks ago. And this is how the marketing and sales game worked online. And really, you asked me before, like, how do we know who the jokers are and who the good people are? Is asking better questions, which is, are you using the product? Let's just ask that just straight out of the gate. If it's yes, box number 1 is checked. Are you finding success with this product? Cool. Check number 2. So figure out what that litmus is with anybody online. Okay. And you can formulate a series of 5 simple questions that really, force people to be honest with you. I think we can all just tell who's kind of, blowing smoke up our butts or just kind of just bullshitting. I mean, it was part of my language, but it's like, we just don't. There's so much stuff out there these days, products, choices to choose from. And the best way to protect yourself is, what you like, what works in your own business. Start there, right?
Yeah.
Because I always tell people, like, especially if you're an REI and say you've done your first deal, anytime you post any of your success on social media, what do you typically, see in the comment section? Right. Or it's like your friends always, hey, Frank, how did you do that deal? Like, oh, what software did you do to do that? Or what data or, text messaging platform do you use? People always want to know what you're using when you're posting the money you're making. It's just crazy how that always works. So that's why I tell people, if you're wanting to become an affiliate, even if you're in a meetup, you go to a dinner party, you're meeting up with a friend at golf or whatever it may be, they can be your referral to the brands that you're using, right? Because what your partners care about and want to use or want from you are active users, not shiny object chasers, not people who think it's a cool idea and eventually I'll use it. No, it's people who need it right now and they know they're going to stick and love this product just like you. And what better referral to come from that person actually using the product and loving the product?
Yeah, I can support that from a software perspective. Launch Control has an affiliate program. And we get people coming to us as to be connectors, kind of the same way that I would go to you, right? And so a question that I'll get a lot is, I'm looking for a mentor, I'm looking for a coach. Who should I work with? And one of the first questions I'll ask, and if they're already a launch control subscriber, it's a known. If they're not, I have to ask this question. But is text engagement going to be a big part of your marketing plans for your business? And if they say yes, like, yeah, I'm in on launch control. So, well, you need to connect with a coach who actively uses launch control in their business, right? Because you want their coaching to be framed like this. The software is your marketing strategy. And so if the coach doesn't understand how to connect software to strategy, you're going to have to fill that gap, right?
That's
so
right.
you need to find someone who actively uses it in their business. And then I'll say, here are 3 suggestions, right? Like I'll connect them with our, people that I know are going to give them the right advice. Because for us as a software provider, here's the other like knock-on effect of that is, when people come into launch control and they just try to figure it out themselves and they have no guidance, they have no mentorship, they don't lean on our customer success team for support, they have a harder time finding consistency and success. When they work with a coach who knows the platform and can help them course correct very quickly, the deals come very quickly. And when the deals come quickly, we become an entrenched part of their real estate investment business, which is ultimately what we want, right? So on multiple levels, that advice of connecting with people who actually have an understanding and an active usage of the product and or service you're talking about, hugely.
Yeah, and this is kind of what we talk about in terms of like stick rate, right? Like when we talk about SaaS or software as a service, even when we as the affiliate refer someone, we ultimately want to keep getting paid every month for that referral. The only way you're going to do that is if they stick to the program or stick to the software that you're recommending. So you want to just make sure it's not just a good fit for them, but it's something that has stickiness, is what I like to call it, right? And the only way they're going to do that is if there's value in what you're referring, and then you have actually found success with it. And that's another thing too. Like let's shift to the second part of that conversation, right, Michael, which is the software owner. Like, well, we have a lot of affiliates. One of the number one things that I hear with anybody who has launched an affiliate program is, hey, we had a ton of people sign up, a ton of excitement, but we only have like a handful of people promoting or like sending us leads. How do we re-engage the other 97, 95% of our people? Well, the number of questions that leads us to the next question, which is, well, how many of them are actually using your software? Right? It was like, oh, it's only like 100 of them. So let's go ahead and get rid of the other 300 people. Because if they're not using your product, you're chasing after, like, in my opinion, a bad referral lead. Okay. So with the 100 people, it's like, okay, what category do these 100 people, are they in? Are they just mom and pops? They don't really know marketing, or do they have small influence, meaning they're, really engaged in their local RIA clubs? They do meetups. Maybe there's physical assets they're a part of. Like those assets are in-person, face-to-face things, right? And the other one is online influence. Okay, cool. They're big into social media. They have 20,000 followers. And that's another big misconception. Is like, oh, I can only work with the 100K influencers and the 500K subscriber follower influencers. Those are called my unicorn people, right? But if someone has 20,000, 10,000 followers, but they're super, super engaged, I rather work with someone like that because they're more boutique. They're a little bit more hands-on with their audience. They're not kind of overwhelmed with, the thousands of DMs that they get. So they're great affiliate partners as well. So once you kind of figure out those categories within your, active users, then you design marketing to speak to those kind of avatars to pull them into your affiliate program. Right. These are honestly your best ambassadors to really go out there and kind of mobilize your referral, what I call my referral army, right? Versus going out there and just cold prospecting, because you're just going to funnel people into the other 95%, and you're really distilling down your team's time and output. So that's my advice to those who have a program, is to start, looking at your signups in a different way.
Yeah, quality over quantity is super important. The 80-20 thing comes up a lot in REI.
Yeah.
And I think it's even a starker difference in this, but just, for conversation point, like 80% of your profits are going to come from 20% of your affiliates. And it's probably more realistically, like 90% of your profits are going to come from 5% of your affiliates or 10% of your affiliates. It's really a quality thing. And another thing about what you said that I think is important to note between like the knowledgeable quality affiliate versus just the whatever affiliate, like, becoming an affiliate is real easy. Anybody can sign up to be an affiliate for almost any product. There's not usually a heavy vetting process. So, if, for instance, if I signed up as an affiliate for the affiliate incubator, that makes sense. I know a lot of people in the real estate investment industry. I know I could be a good facilitator for your business, right?
Yep.
I could also sign up today to be an affiliate for a hairbrush manufacturer. I don't think I'm going to be the best affiliate.
Me neither.
So, yeah. So yeah, quality definitely matters. I do want to backtrack a little bit though, because there's kind of a natural progression, I think, within real, and this is going back up to that top, like people that are aiming to make a real profit stream out of this. So the progression I usually see, and course correct me if I'm wrong here, is investors get into the space, they scale up their business, they get those things that you were talking about for affiliates, the strategy, people, and processes all in place for their core real estate business. And what they find is that they're making a bunch of money and they still have a wealth of time. And so there's an opportunity to start putting that time towards other kind of parallel projects, which will often lead into education, coaching, some kind of media influence, and then as a natural extension from that, an affiliate program that they can profit from for those sub businesses. So why do people make this leap? Is it really about the money? Is it time boredom? Is it a want to share what they know? What do you, in your experience, what makes people want to make that leap?
That's a really interesting observation. I would say there's a large subset of our client base that are in that transitionary period. We always ask that question, like, because there's a large undertaking on the other side of this fence. So I just want to make sure, are you ready for this? And like, what's the
Yeah.
mindset behind it? So you asked a critical question. Is it for the money or is it for a bigger purpose? Well, there are those two types of avatars. The ones that are chasing the money usually churn out in 2 to 3 years. That's what we've seen. I've been a part of multiple cycles now, and it's
Yeah.
a money grab. It's online, and if you're kind of treading on that gray area, there's things you can say and things you can do to make money much faster. Don't recommend those things. And the other side is the bigger purpose, right? And I'll just kind of simplify it down to impact. Anybody who has made the money and they're living the lifestyle, in most cases, are like, I want more people to have this life. Especially if they've had humble beginnings. That's usually their launching pad of how they begin their influencer journey, their marketing journey, of sharing like, hey, I started off working at Chick-fil-A, or I started off as a truck driver. I was a single mom teacher. I did this part-time after hours, and it's just become super relatable. And it ultimately gets them to that end goal of, you can do this too. Right. And really what they need help with is just that structure to organize. Well, like, how do I take what I know and systematically share it with people? Or how do I build this into an actual business? And this is just like the path of entrepreneurship, how to set up your entities and how to run your business and profitability, and all these other things happen as the next step. But I would think anybody kind of on the fence and wanting to make this decision, it's like, just like we said before, are you ready to take this on as another, let's call it a hustle, but it is essentially a job at the beginning, right? Anything you're starting that's new, no matter how smart you are or proficient you are, if it's new, there are processes you're going to have to learn, right?
Absolutely.
So I always, if it's impact, I can help you. If it's money, it's probably, in my opinion, I'm not a good fit for you, right? There are people who out there who are in alignment on that side of things. Great. But here's what I'll tell you. You don't need a huge audience, if you want to launch a coaching program. Even in your, like I said, your physical assets you have now, you can launch a very conservative, become a super affiliate for a handful of products and softwares, right? So however you want to get started, it doesn't take very much. It just requires you to begin and learn as you go. So I think, like you said, investors who have made a ton of money and have built the right process and systems and have all this time are usually equipped to multiple or duplicate that on the info side, because they have the mindset of process and systems. I'd probably say that is like the secondary secret sauce to making this work for them.
Yeah, and I think that we were talking about the core bubble businesses, right? And the idea of just treating this as a separate entity. And you guys are obviously having this conversation. It's a conversation that we have at Launch Control all the time, which is goal setting. Like, are you looking to build a lifestyle business with your REI business? Are you looking to do 7 figures plus and run a big team? Because you want to have that end goal in mind, right? And some people get into the affiliate and space and education space, and they want to sell 500,000 e-courses, and there's a huge marketing arm behind it. And
Right.
I'm not going to name names, but we've both been in those rooms where people are like, yeah, if you send out 100,000 emails every month and you follow up X number of times, you're going to sell X number of e-courses, your profit's going to be this. And it's not about, those conversations are rarely about how many people we've helped and how much they've progressed business. They're largely about selling education models, right? And then there are others that are even if they're not more hands-on, are certainly more topical in terms of continuing to change their approaches, continuing to adjust to the industry, maybe a bit more accessible. But on the opposite end of the scale, they might have 50 to 100 core clients that they're actively developing their businesses. They're not like just being a Macmillan education resource.
That's right. And let me give you guys a staggering statistic. Again, I've been in the education for 16 years. I've sold millions and millions of dollars of courses and products and coaching. And I'm more of the medium here, right? I don't do the fulfillment side. I connect product to audience, and we vet the products and hope that it has the best output for the person that's buying it, right? But like all things, when people go to college, not everybody who graduates gets a job, right? That's just kind of the reality of it. And when it comes to people buying products, let's just say a rough average of say you sell 100 courses, 100 ebooks. There is a percentage of people, and let's say 20% of people, I'm going to throw that out there, who open it or look at it at some level. But those who actually take the information and go out and turn it into money is be less than 5 people. Less than 5% of the people who buy a product are going to make money with it. Now, I struggle with this. I was like, man, I don't feel right selling stuff if people only 5%. And one of my first mentors was like, Frank, it's not our responsibility. It's like the whole that analogy of guiding a horse to water, a camel, one of the animals to water, but you can't force him to drink it. That applies exactly to the avatar who's buying a product. They're in a situation, they want to get out, but they don't fully understand the work that it takes. Maybe they're just too tired to even start the next thing, but they're just exhausted mentally, and they make a buying decision right there. But at the end of the day, this is why I encourage companies is like, your only job right now is great. You sold a course. Your only job is to increase that 5% to 10 to 20 to 30, because that number there is going to launch your business into the next 7 to 8 figure level. Because now you're using them to create more referrals, more success stories, leveraging their success to to encourage others to get involved, right? I think we have it backwards. We're just, how do we look at the metrics of, how do we convert more leads to buyers, more leads to buyers, more leads to buyers, when we should be focused on how we convert buyers into success stories and use the success stories to create more buyers. Does that make sense?
So yeah, I mean, not everyone's going to see the golf clap, but right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. And that's why I believe, and I tell people I've been in the industry for 16 years unscathed, because I tend to stay away from brands, and you can smell it from a mile away when they're focused on money versus impact, right? So we talk about one of those questions in the beginning, and you're not going to just straight up and ask them, like, are you guys focused on money or impact? They're going to tell you impact 100% of the time, right? But it's something that you can just see from their student base, the community base. And when people ask, well, hey, where are all the successful students? And it's crickets out there. That's kind of a red flag, y'all. And anybody who's shielding their students from you talking to them, that's another red flag. I've never seen an education brand that has created lots of success stories hide their people, right? They usually put them on a pedestal and be like, here you go, talk to them. This is our proof, our bread and butter. Here you go. They're very transparent.
Yeah, and like, I think this is a good point in time to bring this up. There's you get a lot of like negative feedback in the REI space of like, oh, beware the false gurus, and don't spend your money on somebody who doesn't really know the business or hasn't been involved in the business in 10 years and they're just selling education courses or whatever. And that's fair, it's justified. There are some false gurus out there. You need to be careful of that. On the flip side of that, though, there are some brilliant individuals that are working with people and really helping shape careers. There are people that are making people into, getting them out of their W-2s and to have a highly successful real estate careers much faster than they'd ever be able to do it on their own, or keep them from kind of burning out in a way that a lot of people do when they don't get the help. And even like making people into millionaires. There are some really great, genuine individuals in this business that are being extremely influential in people's lives. So I think it's important to kind of note that as well.
Yeah, and I'm very big on ownership, right? I'm never going to point my fingers like, well, your course, and again, we're in a business of asking questions and asking better questions. It's like, I tell people, I've gone through a lot of courses, and a lot of them give you a great framework. The other 50% is you have to put in the work. And I tell people, if you're not putting in the work, you can't say it didn't work. Okay. And the second thing as a fail-safe is a money-back guarantee. You want to just make sure whatever you're investing in, and even if it's, and I hate this because in our industry, we have a thing called a 3-day right of rescission, which is just a legal term saying you have to refund someone's money within 3 days, regardless of the reason, right? So in my opinion, the air quote shady companies implement that policy. The ones I like to get behind typically have 30-day money back guarantees, lifetime guarantees, 12-month guarantees. Well, Frank, what if they call me back 8 months because they've never opened it? And it's like, would you rather have a person out there who's leaving a bad review that lives in perpetuity, or do you want to just give them back their $1,000 and move on with your business because you're chasing a bigger goal and impacting other lives, right? Like, let's not focus on those small little details. So it's like, as long as you have a great money back guarantee and you put in the work and it didn't work, then I would say you're still protected, but don't get
Mm-hmm.
embedded with someone who's not in the industry, who you buy something who has a 3-day round decision. It's like, I don't even have enough time to go through the material. I don't know if it works. And well, I'm not going to give you back your money. Then I'm gonna say that was just a bad buying decision, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because you got
I
embedded with
love
the wrong business. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up, because I know a lot of coaches, and that the coaches that some of the coaches that I respect the most, one of the thing, and they work very hands on with people, and one of the things that frustrates them as coaches is when they basically give students a set of action items for the week, and or the month, whatever it may be, and then they come back and they're like, "Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this?" And the students are like, "No." It's like, like if you're going to work with someone like that, you have to take their advice. And a lot of times their money back guarantees, they all have money back guarantees. But the clause in that money back guarantee is you need to complete the action items.
That's right. That's right.
If you're not doing your homework, don't ask. If you are doing your homework, because they know that if the students follow these action items, the deals will follow, the money will follow. They have zero concerns about having to return the money for anybody that actually did what they told them to do. Their only concern is people not doing what they told them to do. That's the make it or break it difference.
That's right. And here's another, eye-opening, thing that I've noticed is, real quickly on price points of coaching program. I know it's not a coaching call, but people are like, well, I hear this all the time. Hey, can I just do a deal with you and I'll pay for coaching doing my first deal? Or, hey, can I be on a 30-month payment plan for $1,000 a month to pay for your 30K coaching program? Universally in the coaching space, the feedback that I hear from any coaching doing 7, 8, even sometimes 9 figures is the higher ticket coaching sale, right? Coaching student is far easier to work with than a low ticket coaching student. Okay. There's just a different mindset there. You can call it skin in the game or whatnot, but this is why programs don't want to work with you and then pay for the coaching when they do a deal, because they already know you're not going to do the work. Okay. Or you may be that one exception, but they're going to have to go through 100 people to find that one exception. They just don't have the time to do that. It's a lot of wasted resources. So you're like, why are all these coaching brands so expensive? Is because they've done the math and they know the avatar. And if that's not you, then my best advice to you is to start saving up to play the game,
Yeah, to play the game. So I think one of the really important distinctions there is it's not necessarily skin in the game, because if they have enough money to spend 30 grand on coaching, they have enough money to spend money elsewhere, right? I think they're usually going into it with a mindset of they're building a business, and that business is going to take anywhere from 8 to 18 months to really get moving and be able to get to a place of really high profitability and consistency, as opposed to people that are like, man, if I could wholesale a house and get 30 grand, that 30 grand would be huge, right? Like that's a very different mindset of going out trying to snipe one deal because that would be big for your life, as opposed to, I'm trying to transition out of my W-2 job, or I'm trying to have this soft retirement set income coming in so that I'm not, so that I can kind of live comfortably, so, in an easy retirement kind of way. And they're putting in the business model effort, and good coaching and mentorship is just one bucket in that larger business build out. And those people that do that have a very high rate of success in the industry, very high rate.
I agree with
wholesale
that.
deal chasers less so.
Yeah, it's all about like goal alignment, right? Whether
Mhm.
you have the money or don't, but if you're on the same mindset of like we're going full speed ahead regardless, then you're going to both get to the end result, regardless of where you're starting. So I agree with you 100% on that. And if I could distill this down even more, is like I've only got to where I've had because of my mentors. I think anybody in industry who really wants to let's not use the word shortcut, but avoid certain landmines. I always give the analogy of like you're in this minefield, right? And there's all these different decisions you can make. A mentor helps you kind of tell you exactly where they are. They're the ones that they go first and put the flags down so you can just walk around and get to where you need to go. That's exactly what a mentor is, right? You can figure these things out, but you might come out the other side of it without a leg and an arm. And some of you may be okay with that. But I
Yeah,
would say finding a mentor was such a huge, even with launch control, right? Like how to really utilize all the features. How do I make sure, what are the ones that everyone's using, and versus you going in there and kind of failing forward, which I think it's, it's still a way to go. But I guess to your point, as we've gotten later into our years, I really value my time. I really value efficiency. I want to go to the quickest path to where I want to be. If that costs me a little bit extra, that's fine. But I just want to get there.
yeah. So I think it's a great time to transition to this. You and I were talking about this pre-show. Is on one end of the scale, you've got people that are becoming an influencers or coaches or someone in the industry that others would gravitate towards, and they can thus have an affiliate program, right? Because they've got something that they're selling. But there's also the ability to really, because like we just said, like coaching costs money, software costs money, data costs money. It's not free to start
Right.
a real estate investing business. If you want to do that 8 months to 12 months or 8 to 18 months to really ramp up kind of process, you have to know budget wise that you're going to have hard costs, right?
Right.
You might have an office rent, but you are going to have hard costs to run that business. So supporting the brands and the people that you work with and that you appreciate can be a cost reduction strategy for your business. So if you're working with a coach and you use your network, you become an affiliate for that coach, right? And you get other people in your network to join that community. I mean, one, you'll get paid for bringing people to that community. Two, you might just be setting yourself up with JV deals, which could earn you some money that way as well. If you're using launch control and you love it, sign up for launch control, get people into the launch control community, and basically pay for, if not entirely, pay for your launch control subscription. Take that out of your overhead. I don't know if this is even a thing, but do you work with a title company in your market? Deal in and deal out. Could you refer people to that title company? Could you get paid for that? Like, bring it up to the title company. If they don't have an affiliate payout, maybe they'll give you one, right? But like the people that you work with consistently and that you can say, I vouch for this person, I vouch for this company. Get paid for all of that.
We actually come up with the presentation on a mastermind we were recently at, and the title of it is how to pay for your ad spend, your payroll, and your marketing through affiliate programs, right? And this is all
Yeah.
front facing. There's an educator in our space. She has a coaching business, and we both know who she is. But she's making six figures referring people to other products and softwares. So this is not even
Yeah.
people her own stuff. She's doing just fine with that on paid advertising with her own stuff, but she has a secondary revenue coming in with all of her affiliate partners because she's leveraging her influence. So to Michael's point, how many people does it take to get like launch control for free for a year? Is it like 3, 4, 5? How many
Well,
referrals?
yeah. So launch control pays out monthly. It's not a one-time fee. So you're going to get, if you bring someone in, you will get 15% on whatever they pay launch control for a full year. So if you're in it, so it depends on what level subscription they sign up for. But on average, if you bring in 4 subscribers to launch control, it will, and they stick, which they should, it will pay for your subscription, your marketing for a full year. And if you bring in consistently, if you bring in 1 or 2 a month consistently, for the lifetime of your usage, you're gonna have a free account with launch control, right? So that's one thing off of your marketing budget that just gets replaced thanks to passive income.
Key word here, guys: passive income, cash flow. That's another thing we all talk about after we've been in the industries, wherever we're at, whether you're at 8 to 5, you're like, well, I need to do something that's going to bring in more cash flow. Even in our state, right? We're like, how do we build consistent passive? And why it's passive is that when you launch your info business, your online business, you're solely focused on generating the front end lead, right? I need more students. I need more buyers. I need to grow my community, my Instagram. They don't all have to be buyers, right? And a large percentage of them aren't going to buy your stuff, but it doesn't mean they're not interested in buying other things. They're not, they need it, like Michael said, they're going to need services to run their business, software, websites, entity structuring, VA company, virtual assistants. There's a suite of things. And I tell people, as we progress or evolve in our journey, right? We start go from 0 to 1 deal, 1 to 5, 5 to 10. We need a different suite of products and services at each graduating level, right? And therein lies the opportunity, where if you can stack all of these services, this is how you grow from $0 to $1,000 a month in passive income, 1,000 to 5,000, which covers launch control and maybe one VA. Cool. Now we're at 10K. We're covering most of our overhead. So everything coming in the door on our education business is now profit. That's huge. You have now multiplied your top line. And what's great about this is now you can put this rocket fuel on the front end of your business. And because you now have these processes in place with your affiliates, it just continues to stack your cash flow, right? Michael doesn't want you to stop at 4 people, right? Now you can now you can increase your ad spend now that you've referred 6, 8, 10 people. Now you're doing more deals because now you can have a bigger ads budget. Does that make sense? So there's so many cool things that you can do with affiliate revenue, especially if you haven't integrated it now.
Yeah, and you should be getting paid for your conversations. If you're at your local RIA and somebody's like, what's your setup? What are you using? You're doing pretty well. And you're like, well, I'm using launch control for marketing. I'm using their service launch leads done for you, so I don't have to touch it. I'm using Podio as my CRM. I'm using, name the things that you're using, right? If you're gonna speak that, you're gonna say it out loud and you're gonna give them that advice, saying, you know what, let me shoot you the links over if you want to check them out. Like that one extra step, you should be getting paid for your good advice, right? Like I love people saying nice things about launch control, but I'd rather pay you 15% every month for saying those nice things than to just have you doing the work for free. Like I want to reward you for speaking well about our products and services. So if you go to anybody that you're utilizing, anybody that you like, I go down to the footer and I almost guarantee you they've got an affiliate program.
Let me give you guys the confidence, because I always ask, why aren't that's a great, because I always ask people, like, why are you not getting paid for these? Like, you've built a reputation, you're being successful, you're successful because of all these things. All they needed to hear is, oh, I didn't know they wanted to give me money. I didn't know they would pay me for these things. Like, no, they want to, and they want to give you even more money. So let's create a process you could refer consistent leads in, and then you now become a high valued partner of this software you've been using for years. So I give you the permission to get an affiliate link and start collecting some checks, because people want to give it to you. And I'm going to give you an added thing with Michael. Google Doc your resource page, hyperlink the text like launch control, put your affiliate link and hyperlink that. Next one. And that becomes your resource. Create a QR code that goes there if you want to do tracking. So anytime you're at a mastermind, you're at an event, you're out, hey, you know what? Here, let me just send you an email real quick with my resources. Right? That's it. The more consistent.
Put it in your email signature. Just have it be sitting there.
Now we're talking marketing, right? This is this is how you start. This is the systems and processes, right? If you have a VA who reaches out to people, make sure it's in their signature, right? So you can multiply your time now. When you're doing a presentation somewhere, put it at the end. Say, hey, I have a gift for you guys. People ask me all the time what my resources are to run my 7-figure business. I'll put this in at the end. Just scan the QR code, right? Not an ask. You're not selling a course. You're not doing anything. They're just helpful resources, and you can make passive income when people sign up. And sometimes these commissions are huge, guys. Lenders will pay you 1% of the lending amount, right? People will pay you 50%, 30% of the monthly on there. Sometimes if you're selling a course, they'll give you 50% of the course sale, which is $500, $1,000, sometimes $5,000. So there's so many different ways to cut this up. And I also, the starting point is, what are you using? Start there.
Yeah. And, I can speak to this too, because we've got affiliates for launch control that are people like the big time real estate investor that you mentioned that does 6 figures every month in affiliates, right? But there's if you scale that way down, we have dozens, if not 100 or more people that are just subscribers that have talked to other RIAs, that have talked to other people in the business, and they just from launch control are making anywhere from like 2 to 6 thousand a month in recurring passive income.
I
And
like
then if
that.
you figure if they're working with other people as well, other services or platforms that they're using in their business, and let's say that they're up to like 5 or 6 total aggregate for their affiliate income every month, it, it might pale in comparison to the money that they're bringing in through their real estate investment business. However, 5 to 6 grand a month in for almost all businesses except for the very, very big ones pays for the entire marketing budget for the month. So if your marketing budget is a wash because you've got these relationships in place, and now your only real operating cost, because marketing's off the table, is you pay your VA $8 an hour or whatever to do some work for you. Your operating costs as a business owner are wildly low. Like any laundromat owner, car wash owner, like small, even like a vending machine, somebody owns some vending machines that has somebody stocking those vending machines for them, is looking at your overhead and going, damn, really? So if it's worth the effort to get paid for saying nice things.
It does. And this is why I've coined this term called affiliate stacking, which is, you mentioned a really, really good point here. Like, well, what's $200 a month? That's not, hey, that's dinner with your family on a Friday night, right? Depending on where you go these days, things are crazy expensive, but I would say, but if you get 200 here, so you get 500 here, 100 here, 1,000 here, this is how, like, a variety of services. Remember, everyone needs a suite of services, and you usually provide 1, 2, or 3 of these things. Most people need 5 to 10 things. So if you can start layering these things in, start suggesting, you start stacking 100 becomes 300 a month, 300 becomes 500. That's one channel. The other channels, I consistently get $1,500 a month. This is how you get to the 5,000 to the $10,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
Or just become a super affiliate for one thing. That's fine too. But I like diversifying. It gets you to your numbers much faster. So that's a really interesting point here, is don't undervalue the $200 a month commission checks. I still get those sometimes, and I love them. I don't hate money. If I'm getting money without me doing anything, keep sending me the checks.
Yeah, and I'll back that one up as well, just based off of like what we do at Launch Control, right? So we obviously, it's an SMS engagement software, but we try to help gap fill for people. So when we partner with people, we're partnering with really good data providers, because that's not something that we provide. We partner with really good coaches, because that's not something that we provide. We partner with transaction coordination companies, with sort of institutional buyers that will allow people to dispo things really, really quickly. We help our subscribers gap fill their business via our network, right? And I never know, subscriber to subscriber, who's having a challenge with data
Right.
versus who's having a challenge with dispo. I just want to make sure that we have the resources for both in place so that they can come to our network and find solutions. So if you think of that in terms of affiliate stacking, and someone that you're talking to in your local RIA or on your Facebook groups or whatever, if you have this handful of resources available that are vetted by you and they trust you, they will gap fill themselves.
That's
And
right.
you will be getting paid because they said, you know what? I need a good data service. Frank recommends this one. I'm going to give them a look. They go through your link, they sign up. You're getting paid because you just gave them the visual to gap fill for their business via your relationships.
I love how you position that. And to your exact point, at least in where I'm at in my business today, I would probably say 90 to 95% of my decision making is based on referrals. If I'm looking for a solution, I'm going to ask someone that I trust, and there's a very high likelihood who they recommend is who I'm going to go with, right? Especially if they're already using that solution or service, right? So I think, to your point of progression, this is where you're going to ultimately be. Maybe you're already here, but my entire life in business is off of referrals, whether it's for my own business or to help my clients. It's such a huge part of this industry, and it's a good thing to embrace now. So I think that's a really important point you made.
So I don't want to take up too much of your time. We're creeping up on an hour here.
It's been fun.
And
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And I think everybody listening, whether you are getting started in your REI journey and looking to kind of supplement and get some passive income to like we've been saying, cover your marketing costs, or if you're at that point where you've got your systems, your people, your processes all in place, and you're toying with the idea of getting involved with other investors, maybe adding an additional profit stream to your business. I think you've heard from this conversation that Frank is the guy to go to. Maybe that's why you put the Frank Chen in the website. But yeah, Frank is the guy to go to. So Frank, tell the people where to find you, and we'll put everything in the episode description below.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I think the best place to get started with learning more about us and how we can help, and we love providing free content and value. So you can go to the facebook.com/REI affiliate network. And this is where we talk about all things conversion metrics, how to get involved in the info side of REI. And we also have a YouTube channel at The Affiliate Incubator. Check that out. We release content every week. And then for our websites, it's theaffiliateincubator.com and thefrankchen.com. Just kind of gives you insight to how we help our clients, what we work with, some of our resources. And really what's really valuable is you can get free discovery calls with me in person, not someone on my team. I love learning about new businesses. I love where people are in their journey, because if you're not ready now, you're serious, we're going to talk eventually down the road. So I love just learning about any type of business, small, big, in the REI. There's more than likely some way we can help you or point you in a direction to accelerate things. But that's us in a nutshell. And thank again, Michael, for the time today. I've had an actual blast.
Oh, absolutely. I really appreciate you coming on. And, just to stay on topic, we're going to put everything that you just listed in the episode description below. And we don't normally include this in the episode description, but we're also going to put a link to the Launch Control affiliate program in the episode
Yeah.
description below. So, if you guys want to spread the word for Launch Control and profit from, like I said, saying nice things about a platform you love, click on that link too. All right, Frank. Appreciate it, man. Talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye.